welcome back to the Wolfram Technology Conference 2018, though I do think we're in Antarctica again. It's got really cold in here. I'm here just talking with developers and other interesting people using Wolfram technology in really cool ways, and I'm here with Jon. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Wolfram and what is the Wolfram Blockchain Lab, or Wolfram Blockchain Labs?
Yeah. So it's a little bit hard to get the plural on there because there's so many different lab-related companies. But what we do is basically we've taken a lot of the research and development that we've done at Wolfram that might relate to blockchain or distributed ledger technologies, and we've moved that, licensed that to a subsidiary company, and that's Wolfram Blockchain Labs. So we have a number of different projects that we're working on. I think actually Christian has discussed some previously, and I think both Johan and Christian are giving talks today about that if anyone's interested or they're going back later to review those. But what we do is work on one very clear area we were working on. So we did a lot of like general research and looking at different areas, but is developing integrations with different public blockchains that are available. So pretty much the canonical blockchain that people talk about a lot is Bitcoin. And we have an integration with Bitcoin that Christian has gone through previously and is going through today.
Yeah. He talked a little bit about that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully some of those people will have maybe a little bit of background. Then there's also Ethereum, which is another sort of popular public blockchain, and we have an integration to Ethereum as well. And we are working on a number of other blockchain integrations with different public blockchain companies, and we're partnering with them. So that's one of the things that I really work on. And I've been to a number of different like other conferences outside of our technology conference, and then often at our technology conference during the past couple of days, I've run into interesting folks who are interested in pursuing projects with us as well.
That's awesome. So these companies, they have their blockchain and they're interested in integrating it with Wolfram language. Is that that's...
Yeah, so I would say like that's kind of the first sort of area, and I should have answered that more completely. Sorry. But like the first area is those blockchain integrations. And so, yeah, a lot of companies are interested in integrating either their public blockchain or if they have some permission blockchain or side chain that connects to a public blockchain for what they would call like a decentralized app, basically an app that runs using the blockchain as storage, like kind of like a database.
Right, yeah.
So it's partnering with those folks and integrating in ways that make use of Wolfram technologies. So that's this first sort of area. A second area that's kind of like more of a longer term project for us has to do with what we would call a smart oracle. And that's something that Stephen mentioned, I think, on Tuesday. And it's one of those things that's a really poor name, and we're trying to get away from that terminology. But that's kind of like what everybody recognizes it kind of as. And for smart contracts that are done on the Ethereum sort of model, they need a way of communicating with data in the world. So one of the things that came about is you have an oracle that takes information from the real world and provides it to the blockchain. It's poorly named because an oracle is like the oracle at Delphi, where it was predicting the future. This is not predicting the future. It's just moving information more like a bridge. And where we sort of come in at Wolfram is that, hey, we have this amazing Wolfram knowledge base,
Right.
where we've spent, over a decade and a half.
Yeah, it's like, I'm thinking like Wolfram Alpha came out, I think 2008 or earlier than that.
Yeah, so Wolfram Alpha came out in 2009.
Okay.
Won like a best of show at South by Southwest in 2010, like both best of show, so the best overall thing.
Yeah.
But then also the best technical achievement. So it got 2 awards. And I think people. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so it's using that knowledge base that powers Wolfram
Yes,
Alpha.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that same knowledge base But now thinking about the requirements that would be particular to empower these self-executing programs or smart contracts, or there's kind of an issue with jargon, I think, in blockchain that we're trying to escape. That's one of the reasons why Stephen Tuesday night sort of said, you know, we try to use some of the terms so people are familiar, but then we also try to be, I think, more general in the terminology that we use. But yeah, so as you said, Jesse, it's like, we started in like 2004 with stuff internally and like moved all the way up to like, so it's been like, over a decade. And when you compare that to that sort of knowledge that other people would want to use, I mean, like, we have this tremendous resource, really, and we just see taking that to smart contracts or self-executing programs as just a whole nother area that we can really do well. Um, and I think we've shown that we can do so well with Wolfram Alpha. When it comes to all these virtual assistants that are out there, as I'm sure you know, we're used everywhere. So it's
Right,
like
yeah.
it just seems natural that we're going to be used when it comes to self-executing programs or smart contracts. It's like a natural. So that's the other real area beyond the blockchain integrations. And they kind of have a concomitant relationship because blockchains also are, there's all these transactions that are taking place on them. So there's all that data, and like Stephen likes to say, like we want to make all that data computable.
Right.
So, here's another great opportunity to do that.
Cool. So you think the reason businesses reach out to Wolfram to integrate their technology with Wolfram language or Wolfram products is because of the knowledge base?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at our strengths, I think one, just as a language, there are lots of amazing tools that we have that we've integrated in a way that other people just don't have. So developers might, spend a lot of time pulling and stitching together libraries to make use of the latest sort of technologies, and you can just be tremendously productive in Wolfram language without having to do any of that. So I think that alone is huge. But then also, when you look at computational knowledge, we're head and shoulders above anyone else, and I think that's why you see like us partnering with a lot of like Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 10 companies even, to provide that computational knowledge. So it's a tremendous strength. So I think from that perspective, what we're doing with computational knowledge or computable data, making all these different domains of data computable, it's what we've been doing for a very long time. So I think it's really natural that people come to us.
So Christian mentioned yesterday that blockchain is in sort of like the nascent stages of the technology, sort of how the internet was in the 90s. Do you see in maybe the next 10 years blockchain being sort of with the help of Wolfram technology, sort of like automated and efficient to the point where it's like turning on a light switch or turning on the button of your like internet to turn it on and off?
Yeah, I think actually that's a wonderful analogy because it's like electricity. We don't really think about it. I mean, you don't think about a lot of enabling technologies, and I think that's something that Stephen mentioned maybe even last night as well. Like when you're in the midst of one of these disruptions when it comes to technologies and how things are looked at, I think a lot of people in blockchain like to think about it as going from an era of centralized computing to decentralized computing, and that has somewhat it helps to sort of democratize different technologies because it means large companies won't have stores of your data. You will be in more control of your data, and that's certainly empowering for users, especially I think in the past maybe 3 to 5 years we've kind of seen different sort of movements toward consumer privacy, at
Right.
least in developed countries. So I think that's something where that's kind of like an ideological driver. Then when it comes to the technologies, like Christian said, I think a lot of times technologies hit the forefront and they're kind of hyped in a lot of ways and people talk about them, and then kind of as they're used more significantly, they actually kind of move to the background. And that's something I think we've seen with the internet where, and like Christian said, in like 1999 or 2000, people were like, oh, internet companies and e-businesses and e-this. And then, but that was like a small subset of, I guess, commercial activity.
Yeah, it was called like e-commerce was like I think the term, and people just consider it like shopping now.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where people would say, as you said, like e-commerce, and someone would be an e-tailer, and that would be a huge component maybe of their value proposition that you can buy it online. And
Right.
now we just think of like, oh, if you go maybe to your favorite store, that, oh, I didn't buy it there, but I'm going to go home and
Right, yeah.
and I think it's a natural sort of thing. So I think over time, if blockchains and ledger technologies really advance, that the same sort of thing will happen. That it will go from, there being blockchain companies to lots of companies making use of the technology. And hopefully they'll be doing that through Wolfram.
Yeah, it seems like a sort of natural move
Yeah.
to use Wolfram with such an advanced like knowledge base. Well, thanks for chatting with me. Do you have anything else that you want to like mention about Wolfram Blockchain Labs or sort of anything about blockchain technology?
No, I think you covered it. You had really good questions. And I think that, that's the thing in general, that we had this really broad vision of the future where self-executing programs or smart contracts are really pervasively used and used with blockchain technologies. And that's where really, because of our computational data or computational knowledge, we'll really be effective in making those smart contracts useful. And I think that's really a revolutionary sort of shift from people kind of doing things on paper with other people to programs doing it with programs or machines doing it with machines. And we hope to enable those processes to take place.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again, John. And stick around, and I'll be speaking with other really cool people here at the conference. Thanks for joining.